Hi everyone, I'm Annie and I'm a UK prepper. Thank you to everybody who's continued to watch my channel. Well, it's really been a crazy week around the world with the trade wars from America, the EU starting their preparedness campaign, and the devastating earthquake in Mandalay. If that doesn't make people start thinking that they need to prepare, then I don't know what will. This video is a bit of a walk through my pantry that I've stocked up over the years and how I organise it so that I know what I have and haven't got. Up until about 18 months ago, had stuff here, there and everywhere, but I decided to amalgamate a lot of it into one room. The stock markets this week have already seen the price of rice and lentils going up, and I'm sure that long life food and medical kits will all soon follow suit. So don't delay, start now. About a month ago I started this channel with a video called The UK are telling us to prepare. I basically went through a startup video for new preppers and showed you how to meal plan and maybe tailor it to your individual needs so you weren't wasting money. If you decide you don't want to do that and you just want the no fuss 1 month's supply of food, the very start of the kit I put together will show you that, and then it will just go on to put in a few luxuries that will make those foods look more bearable and a bit more choice into your diet for that 1 month. I've got my supplies in sections so that I can see what I'm lacking, and also it's easier to stock rotate. So I've got cleaning stuff on the top, some dried vegetables, vinegars, first aid kit, which I'll go through in detail in a minute, and loo rolls, and then I've got all milk products, sauces, beans, cereals, and that's all spare lids on the end there actually for my jars. Then we've got some noodles, soups, meats, tinned fish, some ready cooked meals. Then I've got my jars, my pickles, stuff like that. That's all beginning to run low now because it's what I've had left from the rest of the winter. On the bottom I've got all my big tubs with all my dried milk powders, drinks, rice, flours, sugars, stuff like that. On the bottom, these are items that I've just pulled off the shelves and out of the tubs, so that I can give you an idea of what you might need for say a month. Basics, so you can just store just those items for a rainy day, and then I'll work way down the list of my idea of importance. So first of all, I've got a 2 kilo bag of red lentils. They cook twice as quick as any other lentils, and I've also got beans, so that would be my first sort of choice, beans or lentils, absolutely packed full of protein. And then you can cook in with that some rice. I've got some OXO cubes. I've got other cubes as well, but the OXO ones are individually wrapped in tin foil. And then I think you'll need some tinned fish. Sardines are brilliant. They're full of omega-3. They've got oils and all that in. Some dried freeze-dried vegetables and some porridge oats. You could use the porridge oats for eating, or even make some milk or something if you wanted to. So that little bundle there you could put together. That's the rice is 83 servings. A 5 kilo bag is 83 servings. So if you needed to, that's more than enough food really for a month, especially if you are foraging as well, or growing your own vegetables. You can add stuff that way, but that would cost you about £30 to put together. So to have that put away in the bottom of a cupboard somewhere is ideal. I'm then going to work on down the line. I've got meat, so you can either can your own meat, tin meat, or some freeze-dried meat. The freeze-dried chicken currently is about £45 for a tin. There's 24 servings in there. So to have a handful of that in with your rice and stock cubes and vegetables would go down well. Then you've got your pastas and noodles, that sort of thing. So you can have the little tiny noodles that need hardly any cooking. The ready cooked noodles there, they got about a year's date on them when you buy them. Rice noodles and pasta. Then I've got salt, ideal to have that for a bit of cooking, adds a bit of flavour, but also you'd be able to make your own saline solution in an emergency for your first aid kit. And then coffee. I've got milk powder, milk should I say. So I've got tinned milk powder, coconut milk and some condensed milk, all good for cooking and whatever you want really. Sugar, sugar's not really important, but will give energy boosts. But also if you're trying to forage and make your own produce, suitable for jams and stuff like that, brilliant. Add a bit of flavour to the rest of your cooking. I've got some tomato puree and some herbs and spices, a little bit of oil maybe. Again, you know, you can get away with not having that. And some dried fruit and nuts on the end as snacks. But it would certainly go a long way to your first month's survival in an absolute emergency. I wanted to go through my med kit, some of my med kit that I have available. So obviously you're going to need your painkillers, allergy tablets, sore throat stuff, all things like that you would buy from the supermarket and places that will be wiped out if something happens. But also we might be seeing prices increase as everywhere in the EU and places like that are all preparing. So shortages may occur, but I have it just in case. The omeprazole that I bought, I visited America twice last year for different holidays, and I went into their Walmarts and they had these and aisles of medication and first aid that's just not available to us in the UK. And I think this cost $9. There's 42 tablets in there, whereas in the UK you'd pay like, I don't know, £7 or £8 for a 7-day course if you can get hold of it. Aspirin is a really great tablet to have in your arsenal. If grid goes down and supplies do become low for normal medications, if you're on blood thinners, you can have an aspirin a day. Like they used to say, an aspirin a day keeps the doctor away. But it's a really good anti-inflammatory, especially I like these dissolvable ones. They get in the bloodstream quicker and they don't have any horrible effects on your stomach like the ibuprofen do. So I prefer the aspirin, but obviously if you're on blood thinners at the moment, then you obviously need to read the instructions on that. This next box is boxes of stuff that I've accumulated over the last, I don't know, however many years, and stuff that I'd not used. There's old medication. It's just worth keeping stuff like that to one side because you just never know. This box again is dressings. This tape here is just like a plaster tape but with no cushion. Ideal to have out in your bug out bag, because the first thing that will take you out is blisters. So as soon as you had a little sore, you could cut a piece of that off, put it on, and Bob's your uncle, so they say. The other one is vet wrap. You might not have thought of that, but that doesn't need to be tied on. It can just be wrapped round and it sticks to itself. I've got animal poultice in case I get infections and stuff like that. That's pretty cheap from the suppliers, so that's a really good one to have in your box. I do have a couple of respirators and masks, because if COVID had been Ebola, we all would have been in trouble. So I think they're about 29-30 quid each, something like that. So I just thought for me it was quite an important thing to have in my kit. So that's all stuff. It is first aid stuff, but it's also stuff that you could replace your immediate first aid kit from. So you'd have your backup bandages and stuff like that. So when you got home, you could then treat any sort of like wound or infection. The other thing I make myself is saline solution. These instant packs they have got absolutely everything in. I've added a few items of my own, some liquid super glue, some extra steri strips to be able to do any bigger wounds once they've been cleaned out, that sort of thing. But this ready to go kit is about 70 quid and it's absolutely brilliant. The other thing that I've got, and it's normally vat packed, but I have opened it up so that I can show it to you. It's an American first aid kit for the military. It's probably an older version, but it's got absolutely everything in there, from insect bites, chest wounds where you put a plastic bag on for immediate first aid, head injuries, how to bandage stuff, how to stabilize fractures and stuff in the field. I did learn a lot of this sort of thing when I was in the Territorial Army a few years ago, but to have a hard copy is absolutely vital, because I may not always be around, so at least there is a hard copy of everything in there. And these last ones, the potassium iodine tablets, hopefully no one will ever need to use these, but you can't buy them off the shelf. They're in case of nuclear fallout. I'm about 40 miles from a major shipping port, so I just thought I would have those just in case anything travelled on the wind. The first aid kit is a really nice size. I've done it next to the paperwork so you can see the comparison. I always take it on holiday with me in my suitcase, and take a small first aid kit in my travel bag that I take on the planes and places with me, because you never know, as we've just seen, the earthquakes and stuff like that, they can happen at any time, so to be prepared. I do have some purifying tablets and stuff like that tucked away in the back. Today we're going to be making a batch of shelf-stable saline solution. Thank God I didn't have to have a drink before I had to say that. The uses of the saline solution would be mainly for cleaning wounds and eyes, etc., but it could also be drunk in an emergency. This is something that we should all probably have in our medical kit, but it's quite expensive to buy, and normally comes in a bottle, so once you open it, it'll only last 1 or 2 weeks in the fridge. But by pressure canning it, you can make it shelf stable and it will last pretty much forever. You can use bottled water, spring water or distilled water. I'm lucky enough to have drinkable tap water, so that's what I'll be using, but I did boil it for 5 minutes and I've allowed it to cool. You could just add sodium chloride tablets to it, 4 tablets per pint, because they're normally 1 gram per tablet. If you were doing quarts, you'd double it up, so it'd be 8 tablets. I'm going to be using pickling salt. That's a pure salt. You can't use table salt because that has iodine and caking agents in it. So we'll be using 1 teaspoon of salt per pint. That would be 2 teaspoons per quarts. I'm making smaller jars, these are little half pint jars, so I've got half a teaspoon each. I've done some already to save you the time and process of doing that. So literally all I did was put in the salt, this is my cooled boiled water. I sterilised all the jars in the dishwasher and they've all got new lids. If you're not using a dishwasher to sterilise, you can do it all in the pressure canner beforehand. Just put in your jars and lids and rings, cover with water, bring it up to the boil slowly, or let it boil, should I say, for 30 seconds, then turn it off. Allow it to cool for a little while, then take it out and set it aside for when you're ready to use them. Trivet goes in the bottom. We'll load the can up. Fill the canner to your recommended guidelines. So you pressure can it as if you were canning meat. So it would be 75 minutes for pints or 90 minutes for quarts. That will kill anything that's in there, and then it will just seal down the lids, and that will be it, shelf stable. So I'm going to bring this up to vent and vent it for 10 minutes, put the jiggle pressure weight on, and then pressure can for 75 minutes. It doesn't actually give me a recommended guidelines for half pints, so if I do anything, whenever I'm doing any canning and it's under a pint, I always do it for that guideline. The timer's gone off. I let it come down to pressure naturally. Just going to take them out, let them cool on the side. Got 10 jars of shelf stable saline solution. I did want to mention that when I put the weighted gauge on, my normal pressure cooker weight is £10 in weight for my altitude, and that was the recommended guidelines for that. So you would have to check your altitude and adjust. So all that remains is to mark them up and put them on the shelf. Well, that brings me to the end of my video. I hope you found it helpful and informative. If you did, please give it the old thumbs up, like and subscribe. But I'd also like your comments and feedbacks on how you're preparing with all this news we've been receiving this week. Thank you. Bye.